Okay, this is number 23 on page 367. Here's the original problem, and this is definitely the messier side, so that's what I'm going to start with. And now, when I look at this, I really don't know what to do. One of the first things I might want to do, since I do have a fraction and addition or subtraction, I think what I would do first is to multiply this by 1 minus sine theta over 1 minus sine theta, so at least I can get things into a single expression. So that's going to give me cosine theta cotangent theta minus, and I have to go through with this minus 1, so minus 1 and then plus the sine of theta. And then on the bottom for the whole thing, I've got 1 minus sine of theta. Now you might, I'm going to change everything to sine and cosine because I don't know what else to do. So what that entails is it looks like the only thing that's going to change is I'm going to have cosine of theta, and then cotangent theta is really cosine of theta over the sine of theta. And then I've got minus 1, and the rest is going to stay the same, and the denominator stays the same. Okay, so let me put this together here. It's going to be cosine squared theta over the sine of theta minus 1 plus the sine of theta, and then I have a denominator. So do you see where I've got a complex fraction here? Now in your solutions guide, I'm going to move this up. In the solutions guide, it multiplied to clear the fractions in a single fraction, but I'm not sure, you might not follow what that was doing. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get a common denominator in the numerator. I'm just going to look at the numerator a little bit. I'm going to get a common denominator. So I need to multiply each of these fractions by the sine of theta over the sine of theta, so that in the numerator anyway, I do have a common denominator. So I'm going to have the sine of theta, but then I have a complex fraction, so I also have minus 1 minus the sine of theta on the very bottom, but on the top I'm going to have cosine squared theta minus sine of theta, and then plus sine squared theta. Okay, now this is important because we know that the cosine squared plus the sine squared of any angle is 1. So what I have now is 1 minus the sine of theta over the sine of theta. And now remember, it's a complex fraction. Here's my larger denominator is 1 minus the sine of theta. Okay, let's put that over 1 so that it truly looks like a complex fraction. And remember that with complex fractions, we change it into multiplication by taking the denominator and multiplying by its reciprocal. We take this fraction and we multiply by its reciprocal. So when I do that, I get 1 over 1 minus the sine of theta. And now hopefully you see a common factor here that's going to cancel. Let me move this up one more time. And so I end up with just 1 over the sine of theta, which is cosecant theta, which is what we were shooting for.